It's the Brad and John Show.
And today's date is the 16th of May. It is a Friday, and this is the B block, which means we start at right around 7:20. The reason I mention that is a lot of people listen to the show into the future. They can either go to bsshow.co and listen to the traditional...
That was the Shelley Barr Show, Brad. It's not BS Show.
Did I say BS Show? Okay, bjshow.co and listen on the traditional podcast. You can go to here we go again. bjshow.us, which John doesn't like, and you can watch it on YouTube. Matter of fact, we have some incredible visuals on YouTube when you watch the
Thank
podcast.
You, Brad. And it's not that I don't like US. I was confused and found out secondhand that you did not renew the domain. So as usual, I found out things not directly from you, but I found out indirectly. And for folks who want to hear a Brad explanation of his love and appreciation for cheapskate domains, cast off generic things that are hard to remember, you can go to C Block yesterday, May 15th, and listen to C Block. And Brad does a really tight, concise definition of cheapskate domains.
Okay, John, appreciate that. By the way, info dude Mike Otten says Chesterfield identifies as part of the Westplex. So see, there you go.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you.
All you have to do is...
Mike and I, for folks who don't know, Mike Otten and I gave away Brad's truck in 2021.
Gave away my truck. You can have my truck. Okay, John, I want you to put your Monsanto hat back on, okay?
I love it.
Okay, why do I have super weeds and super grass?
Well, you probably have some very hard, super weeds is actually a term. It's a colloquial term. It's not a scientific term, but so-called super weeds are resistant to all forms of herbicides. You don't have super weeds. You probably just have some tough to control weeds out there, Brad.
I bought, I'm always trying new things because it never seems to work quite right. I bought last week, matter of fact, I applied it last Thursday, so it's been on, this is day number 8 now, or actually day number 9, I guess, technically, if you look at it that way. I bought Ortho Ground Clear, okay? Now, here we go. It's concentrate, okay? Just off the top of your head, and I can tell you the exact amount, but just off the top of your head, if you buy Roundup concentrate, how many ounces per gallon do you need to make a gallon of Roundup if you buy the concentrate?
Yeah, no idea, because it's different for ag purposes versus backyard purposes.
Okay, if you buy the concentrate, when you read the little book, it tells you 2 to 3 ounces per gallon of water, okay? So I buy the Ortho concentrate of this stuff called Ground Clear, which is supposed to kill the weeds and then sterilize the ground so nothing else grows back. And it talks about, you'll see.
There's no such thing as sterilizing the ground, but go ahead, Brad.
Well, whatever. It makes it to the point where nothing will grow there for a while. It's like bear spot, or like in the old days they would call, if the enemies were going to attack you, they would come and they would salt your farm field so that nothing would grow. Essentially, yeah. It does something to the soil where nothing grow. Okay, so I get the thing, and it's a 32-ounce bottle. I go, oh, God, I'll be able to do quite a few things. I read the directions, and it says, how much of the concentrate do you put in for a gallon of water? Take a guess, John. It's a 32-ounce.
3 ounces.
24 ounces.
So it's wait a minute. So that's a ton of herbicide in a mixture.
Well, and once again, it says concentrate, and essentially the bottle's 32 ounces, and it says you have to mix 24 ounces of this stuff to make a gallon of this Ground Clear stuff. I'm going like, that's not concentrate.
Yeah, that's not concentrate at all. That's a strange definition of concentrate. Well, that's not like getting your Tropicana orange juice,
right.
And putting a frozen can in with a gallon of water. That's not the same thing.
Right. So as of day number 8, matter of fact, I checked this morning, there ain't nothing dying. Going like, what am I doing? I'm getting scammed. So yesterday, what I did was I go online and I watch all these YouTube videos, and I went to Schnucks and I bought myself a gallon of vinegar. I mixed it up with a cup of salt and some Dawn dish detergent, and I sprayed that in another section of weeds. And guess what? I go out this morning and they're dying. Now, why is it?
Okay, so they're probably dying. They could be dying based on the delayed action from, and I looked up Ground Clear. Do you know what's in Ground Clear?
You know all this stuff. I don't know what's in it.
Yeah, but I'm asking you if you know.
I have no idea.
Okay, so Ground Clear is almost completely Roundup.
Well, then why do they just call it Roundup?
Well, because Roundup is a brand name, Brad.
Well, but why
and Ortho can't sell something called Roundup.
But
Pepsi can't. sell something called Coca-Cola.
Why does
So
it take?
what you went out and bought, because your Roundup wasn't working, you went out and bought a different version of Roundup. So
But
good decision there, Brad.
it's got
Now,
this.
you could have read the label. You could have invested 30 seconds in reading the label, but I know that that takes a little bit of time. And so you did make a good decision, Brad. Acetic acid is what vinegar is. And a lot of backyard people and hippies and old people that like to do gardening that claim that they don't like to use chemicals will put vinegar in a spray bottle and spray it, because vinegar, acetic acid, does have a mechanism to kill weeds. So that is a good decision. And for folks who don't know, you would use Dawn dishwashing detergent as a surfactant, which is kind of a soapy thing that can help permeate the leaves and help the acetic acid actually get inside the plant.
Well, don't you find it interesting? And you said something that I found very interesting there. People say, oh, they don't want to use chemicals. They're not going to use Roundup. But isn't acetic acid a chemical?
Of course it is. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And that's one of the most idiotic things about people who, I took a picture the other day at Walmart, and there was a thing about organic, get your like organic blueberry seeds here, something like that. There's no such thing, or there was non-GMO blueberries and some other thing. There's no such thing as a GMO blueberry.
Well,
So if you and I sold blueberries, we could label them all GMO, because there's no such thing as a GMO blueberry.
if I'm not mistaken, and I had someone school me on this, that as far as the federal government's concerned, there is no official definition of natural or organic. Does that sound correct to you?
Incorrect. There's definitely a definition for the USDA of certified organic, but natural, there's no such thing as natural. So you and I could make a potato chip that was laden with synthetic or whatever preservatives, and we could call it natural, because there's no definition of natural.
But organic there is?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, organic specifically means that the product is grown without the use of synthetic inputs. So no synthetic fertilizer, no synthetic. You can't use traditional pesticides or insecticides over the top of those crops or in crop. Yeah, organic has a very specific legal definition.
Okay. Talking about sports, did you read this story earlier this week? I've had it on my list for a couple days, and I haven't really talked about it. The Chiefsoholic guy who's now in jail. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you explained this once, but I don't remember exactly what happened there. And he was committing crimes dressed as the Chiefsoholic, right?
No, he was not. He was committing when he'd show up at Arrowhead Stadium. He had like this wolf costume on. He looked like Wolfman or something like that. And he had like a Chiefs jersey on and stuff like that. And he's one of the guys. He's sort of like, he became iconic to the Chiefs. He was sort of like what the Blues have with the towel guy. You know, everybody knows.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Everybody knows the towel guy is. Okay, so what it came out last year that to support his habit of the Chiefsoholic, he's a bank robber, and he's been robbing banks all over the Midwest, in Kansas and stuff like that. And they nailed him. And he's got like I think he's got, I don't know how many years in Kansas, and then he's got federal charges against him a whole bit. Long story made short, he ain't getting out for like 30 years. And they said that this became such an obsession with him for the Chiefsoholic thing, because he not traveled with the team, but he traveled away and stuff like that, that he was funding his Chiefsoholic thing, or whatever they want to call him, by robbing banks. Now,
It's so funny.
I mean, the irony of that is, what is wrong with, see, there's a perfect example of years ago, I heard a guy say, and it stuck with me. He says, I'm a sports fan, not a sports fanatic. And the idea being is you can say, hey, go team, go Cardinals, go Blues, go City, because we don't want any people from the county coming to our games. we just want the city folks, you know. But you can be the person that takes their grass and paints it red, when the Cardinal season starts, or who camps out for 2 days at Busch Stadium so they can be first to buy bleacher tickets when they go on sale. I don't know if they do that or not anymore. The old way, that's what they used to do. You would camp out and get bleacher seats, stuff like that. I don't understand it. I mean, why would somebody commit crimes to fund his extreme sentiment for a sporting team? Get what I'm saying, John?
Yeah. But maybe he anticipated that Trump and the state of Missouri would be cutting off a lot of welfare benefits. And it was easier than going out and getting a job, don't you think?
I don't know. Okay, John, the next one I'm going to talk about, you're going to give me a big eye roll when I talk about this, okay?
Oh, I know what it is. You're going to call a friend of yours running for office to snitch on a popular, successful radio station and try to get them in trouble.
What would that be? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Could you call Mike Elam and complain about Mark Cox and 97.1 sponsoring an event that doesn't include Mike Elam?
No, I just brought that up to Mike because Mike didn't even know about it. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, hey, you did a good deed there, Brad. Go ahead.
If you're going to have, we talked
I got you
about this.
going, Brad. I got you off topic.
We talked about this yesterday, that there's some dealie going up next month at the Taj Mahal out there in De Pere, and they're having all sorts of different, politicians to come and stand up there, and you're supposed to kiss their feet, and, oh, my God, you're so wonderful. We love you so much. And they talk about the bottom of the thing says, and updates on county commissioner races, and they live, who is it? Somebody Hancock, what's the guy's name? Not John Hancock. Dennis Hancock and Bill Eigel. And I go, well, why isn't Mike Elam and why isn't Justin? I got a mental block. It's Jason Law, right? It's not Justin Law. For some reason,
yep.
I want to call him Justin Law all the time. It's Jason Law. Why aren't they invited? And I sent it to Mike, and Mike didn't even know about it. Okay, what was I going to talk about? Oh, no, I want to talk about Wednesday. I heard a promo on KWMU that tomorrow, between 10 and noon, you can go by their studios on there in Olive in the Fox Theater District, and guess what they will give you if you pull up to the curb between 10 and noon tomorrow, John?
I'm going to guess one of two things. It's either a tote bag or like HPV or something.
A yard sign to promote the fact that you support public radio, and the funding should not be eliminated.
Those are your favorite things, Brad. You're combining your love of public radio for your love of yard signs.
They are giving away tomorrow between 10 and noon, Saturday, yard signs essentially saying, support local public radio and don't defund public radio, because
I love that. That's some good grassroots activism. Just think, Brad, think of the paradox. You pay taxes to go to Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which goes to St. Louis Public Radio, which I'm guessing goes to pay for yard signs. Maybe, maybe not. And then you can use your own taxpayer money to support the spending of your taxpayer money for more taxpayer money.
Now, John, here's the rest of the story, as we would say in the old days of you-know-who. And now
Paul Harvey,
the rest of the story, okay? That pissed me off. I'm going like, okay, here we go again. So what does Brad do? He did it Wednesday and he did it yesterday. I called KWMU, and this is amazing to me nowadays. There's a phone number in their on their website, and you call it, and it's just like, it's for your call is being answered by Octel voicemail, blah 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 blah, and it just says please leave a message. And I said, hi, this is Brad Hildebrand. I'm a local radio station owner, and I listen to your station all the time. Instead of giving away yard signs, which I know you probably had to pay for, why don't you buy some advertising on my station to promote giving money to public radio? I'll promote your fund drives, and that way you're promoting other local radio and not stupid yard signs. I gave my phone number twice. Guess what? I never got a call back.
I imagine that, Brad. First of all, if you think that somebody, and I love you, Brad, but if you think somebody at St. Louis Public Radio is actually going to listen to their voice messages, that's pretty naive. That whoever they've assigned to clear that out at the end of the month is 24 years old, has purple hair, and listens to the messages while actually listening to other music. And it's like, okay, I got to go through the motions and listen to these messages and then just delete them all.
But do you see where I'm coming from on this?
I do. Yeah, I do. And you're saying there's other ways that it would make more sense to promote local radio or promote their own stuff by supporting local radio instead of just putting up yard signs.
Yes.
Yard signs don't vote,
yes,
as the cliche goes.
And the ridiculous part of it is, okay, like, let's say, now that I've told you about this, let's say you're driving through your neighborhood, John, and you see one of these yard signs. What does that tell you about the person that lives there?
It tells me, well, first of all, it tells me they're a big liberal. and it tells me that that I probably can't make funny jokes around them, and it tells me they're probably pretty sensitive. And I know that every time they drive by my house and see my big, beautiful American flag, they probably shudder.
One other thing before we move on to C Block. Have you seen this crazy story with James Comey, the former head of the FBI? Have you seen?
I have, yeah. So he apparently put out, for folks who haven't seen this, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Brad, he tweets allegedly from vacation that he stumbled upon.
Right.
Someone wrote with seashells on the beach the numbers 86 and 47. Brad, you want to explain what the number 86 means?
This is an old thing. My wife at one point in time used to be a waitress when we first got married, and we used to kid about the fact that one of the kitchen terms were if you came back into the kitchen and you read off your order and someone ordered the salad with no mayo, you would say, and a chef salad, 86 the mayo, which means you don't want it, kill it, get rid of it. That's essentially what 86 means. So in other words, and what's funny about it is he just happened to be walking down a beach and just happened to see these seashells, 86-47, and just happened to take a picture of it and put it up on his Twitter account or his X account. So now they're trying to investigate him for essentially promoting the assassination of Trump. It just doesn't get any better. What do you think, John?
I think, and his explanation was that he didn't know that he didn't know what it meant, and his exact words were when he said cool shell formation on my beach walk. I guess he posted it on Instagram, and so his idea that he didn't know what that meant is completely implausible.
Right, especially when you work for the FBI.
The FBI, right? Exactly, Brad. Come on.
When you go back into the history of the FBI, there's probably testimony with Al Capone saying, yeah, we're going to 86 that guy, right? I mean,
exactly. Right. Think of how many times they've used that in their own parlance,
Right. It's to the point where how do you get to be the head of the number one law enforcement agency in the country and not know the meaning of the number 86? My question to him would be,
oh, what's that?
Mr. Comey, what's 69 mean? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, he has no idea. I did see, and by the way, I learned of this controversy because I saw somebody post a meme that said 69 AOC in shells. And I did, because I didn't know about the Comey thing. And I'm like, okay, like I get that's funny, but why is that funny? And then I saw the Comey thing, and I'm like, oh, I get it.
It's if there's a what's the guy? He's an excellent actor. I don't know these people name. Who's the guy that Dumb and Dumber? Not
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. Who, by the way, if someday I'm going to cut up that intro he does on Newsroom where he's does the rant about the United States. Jeff Daniels played James Comey. It was some docudrama or something like that. And when you watch this, you thought like, oh my God, that Trump, he's such a horrible person. I'm glad we got James Comey. James Comey. And the truth is the fact that the guy's a scumbag. I mean, all the crap that went on under him, the Struck and what was the gal's name? They're having an affair. They're both married, but they're having an affair and they're sending texts back and forth. Was it
Letitia James?
No, it wasn't Letitia James.
It was the other one. The Georgia one. Not Letitia, but it was the other one.
No, it was the woman who worked for DOJ or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Right. Yeah, I forgot who that was.
Right, and they're having an affair and they're texting back and forth about how Trump's terrible and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going like, okay, this is all. And once again, here I said once again, we talk about the dude in Kirkwood sticking stickers on the Tesla, not realizing that, there's cameras on the Tesla, and we have people who work for the FBI texting on their official phones back and forth, and they've never been to a trial where they've given transcripts off of people's texts. You know what I mean? I mean, they've never seen to the point where you can go to the cell companies, and if you have a subpoena, you can get all these records. It's like we talked about the Pam Hupp thing, to the point where she gives her phone to the O'Fallon police and says, well, here, take my phone. And then they use it for 3 days and find out everything she said was a lie because she says she was here when she wasn't. She was there, that kind of stuff. Okay. What's wrong with people that are supposed to be smart? You know what I'm saying?
I think we just got to 86 the segment, Brad.
Okay, we'll be back for our last segment of the week.